Well, in a weekend of football, we are here to discuss a team that have been crowned champions. A couple of teams that you can probably say are down as well. It's been a pivotal weekend in the Premier League, and we're here to discuss a few of those games over the next 20 minutes or so and give you a whistle stop tour of what's happened this weekend. Shaun is joining me as ever. Shaun, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. Sorry I missed last week. I was in the sunshine.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, still feeling it a little bit now.
Oh, blimmin' hell.
bit of a struggle.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, well, we've got no choice but to start with your boys, the 12:30 kickoff. Now, when I sort of came back in and it was half time, it was 1-0, and all the commentators and all the pundits going, "Oh, this is brilliant, Tottenham," pinging it around nicely. Harry Kane back on the score sheet. And then I went out and I came back and you lost 3-1. What happened?
You sort of covered it there a bit. It was a sort of game of two halves. I think Kane got his 28th league goal this season. That's sort of been not mentioned by hardly anyone really this season. Obviously, we've got Haaland and Tottenham haven't been great. So his 28 goals in 25 different games, it's gone a bit unnoticed, but England captain's still flying. Second half, we're at that stage of the season where, I think I've said it for a few weeks, where Tottenham are in a bit of a pickle which direction they're doing going forward. I don't think the club want Europe. Hardly any fans do. Don't really. I think the club realise it would do us no favours. We need quite a bit of a rebuild. So I'm not saying they threw it second half, but I don't think winning would have done us any favours. I don't expect us to go and beat Leeds on the last day. Everyone's joking that Tottenham are just putting the flip-flops on in that game, so Everton are going to have to get something in their game. But yeah, second half, what sort of changed it was, and this could be bad attitude, or it could be a lack of nous of Ryan Mason on the touchline. Frank Mason tactical changes at halftime. It made a few more tactical changes as the game went on in the second half, and Ryan Mason just didn't respond. That's why they won the game. It was in-game management. A lot of fans aren't very impressed with giving. Obviously, Lucas Moore said his farewell video the other day. I don't know if you remember. I recommended him to your boys, didn't I, at the end of the last season. We did his farewell video. They've been sort of giving him 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Almost feels like a charity case send-off minutes when they've got young, talented lads refusing to sign new contracts because they're not getting minutes. Just seems a bit backwards and coming forward. But yeah, on paper, it's a poor result. But I think Tottenham are now, we're out of the European places now, and no one's expecting us to get anything at Leeds. So it's not pretty, but it's kind of what I think most fans and the club want. So yeah, I think any type of European football should be a really. There's no benefit to it. If you weigh up all the pros and cons to it, the position Tottenham in, there's no benefit to getting any sort of Europe this year.
And of course, the situation you find yourself in is Villa are sat in that 7th prestigious spot on 58, Spurs on 57 on level goal difference. So I don't know who Villa have got on the final day, but it is in their hands if they want to get Europe. And well, Leeds were trapped today. So
I'm not thinking. So I'm not even sure. It's nice, jolly for like a club like Villa who've been even in the Championship not long ago. So it might suit them. I know Emery likes the Europa. He likes the proper Europa Cup. Then he's got a great record in that, so they might suit them. And they are sort of not necessarily a young team. They're building the team. Tottenham have got to go back and probably sell 7 or 8, and then get a few. I think they're changing how they're going to go about scouting and things like that. They haven't even got a technical director in at the moment. Haven't got a manager. So yeah, I certainly there's no benefit of taking Europe at all. The financial side of it is peanuts. It's literally nothing. So the extra games has just caused more headache for the new head coach. Myself, I've been saying for weeks I didn't want it. I think most fans are on the same boat. And even though Daniel Levy's a money man, he could put 2 more concerts in an NFL game in and make. Put it this way: if he put 2 concerts in the stadium extra, an NFL game, he would make as much money from those as what West Ham will make from winning the Europa Conference League. That's how little financial gain it is. So yeah, that side of it doesn't make sense either. So
There we go. There we go. Right, we'll move and we'll dip into the title race. We're going to do 4 games tonight, so one is done. And next we'll move up to the Saturday night football where, well, I sort of had a right smile to myself, to be honest. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 0. What looked like a title race that could have gone down to the wire has petered out into just nothing, really. And Man City didn't even have to win it on their own terms. Arsenal did it for them. 200 odd days at the top, and yeah, didn't end too well, Shaun.
No, on the game itself, Forest have sort of deployed remember when you boys are like, you're almost on the brink about 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, and you noticed David Moyes thought, right, I'm going to park the bus and try and break. Forest sort of done the last few games have done a more extreme version. Like they're happy having like 19% possession, and they nearly got something at Anfield doing it that way, and they did it last night. And I don't know what their possession was last night, but they looked like they could soak up everything Arsenal had all day long. It really looked like Arsenal reminded me a little. Well, it's almost like a carbon copy of last year when they chucked fourth away. I know Tottenham finished strong like Man City did this year, but they've lost that little bit of swagger. I think when the transfer window ended last season, they've had a good year. Arsenal, obviously, second's pretty good, and which I don't think is a strong season. But I said when they got Jesus, I said I don't think he's a striker. I think he's done well, but looking at him, I still think they lack a striker. They lack a proper centre forward, like a horrible, nasty. Well, just one that's going to scare a defender, really. Like Jesus doesn't do that. So I think that's where they've come short. It makes me laugh. Lots of people, the odd journalists trying to be trendy, saying they haven't bottled it. The facts don't lie. I've shared so many on my Twitter. You might have seen a few, like things like they are 8 points clear with like 9 games to go, and now City can win it by 10 points. Did I say or something? That is, and no team has led the league by so many points at a certain stage. Nobody has had that many points at Christmas and not win the league. You can just reel them off over and over again. And the fact that City have gone on something like, we won 15 in a row, did I see, or something like that?
Was it 11, I think? 15 unbeaten, 11 winning streak.
That's utterly irrelevant because Arsenal only play them twice. When you go and drop points and go 2-0 down at home to Southampton, who going to finish bottom, and they obviously lost to Forest the other night, drew with Liverpool, drew with you, do you know what I mean? That's got nothing to do with Man City. They're 8 points clear. And on fact, they are the biggest bottle jobs in the history of the league. It's in black and white. You can search around. You can find many of the stats, and they can't argue with it. Dog's going mental.
See, even you don't like Arsenal, not in your household.
But that's that. Well done, the Forest, though. I think many didn't expect them to stay up. I think I can't remember. I picked to go down. Probably them. Is it Steve Cooper? I forgot his first name. Yeah, I think the chairman came out yesterday, sort of justified a little bit why he's stuck with him. Because let's be honest, I think it's only him and West Ham who've stuck with a manager down there. I think some have changed twice. So yeah, fair play to him.
I think the thing is with Forest is that, I'm quite happy they've stayed up in the end because we went there at the start of the season. It's the best home atmosphere I've seen from a side in a hell of a long time. And yeah, they've been forced to bring in all these players and at one point they looked certainty, definitely a certain club to go down. They've turned it around. They've stuck with Steve Cooper, and the majority of other teams down there who've switched, and it hasn't quite worked out for most of them. And go on.
I'll tell you what, though, Jake. I remember we said a few times. I think they signed. It was 19 players. They signed.
19, yeah.
I remember saying before they had to buy about 12 because they come up with a load of players that were leaving and loans. But when I haven't got a list. I'm sure they've had 5 or 6 flops. You're going if you're going to sign 19.
Lingard.
But I think, I think. But he was a free. They paid him a lot of money, wasn't it? Free. But even a transfer in January, I should know his name. I forgot his name. The keeper they got on loan, he's a bit of a legend.
Keylor Navas.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Just get an experienced head in. I think they dropped the keeper and they realised maybe they just needed another bit of experience. But a lot of us raised their eyebrows when they spent, is it 45 million on Gibbs White?
Yeah.
No, he's a class player. He is a very, very good player. Don't be shocked if teams are looking to pay Forest more than what they paid for him very soon. He's a very good player. Obviously, probably Wolves had no choice. They've got some good players, and they like I said, they've got a similar tactic to your lot, but it's probably just a bit more negative. Break on goal last night on the counter attack, got a bit lucky. Yeah, with them, it just depends on the 3-4 good players they've got, whether they can keep hold of them or not. But like a lot of teams, they're not in a position where they've got to sell. So if you want to go and buy Gibbs White, you're looking at a 60 million player.
Yeah.
But yeah, excuse me. But yeah, they've got the line and probably deserved it. Like I said, I like some people get snobby about negative tactics and all that, but and you probably not enjoying West Ham at the moment as much as you'd like, if you're being honest.
Care.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. At the moment, you don't care because you've dragged yourself to safety in the final. But if you're a little snobby hat on, I think I read the other night on Twitter. You said, "Well, no, it's before the Leeds game. Oh, you know what we're going to get? We're going to sit, be negative, break." It won't quite like that today. I'm sure we'll come on to it. But at this stage of the season, you take it. I'm sure Forest would take it. But starting next season, between August and December, I'm not sure any club's going to accept 19% possession and just trying to counter. So yeah, you do what you got to do to get over the line when it's a business end. Basically, what I'm saying.
Definitely. Save some of your comments. Mandy, hope you are well. Lifting a trophy would be great for the fans. Winning a trophy is not about the monetary value. It becomes part of our history. And, hopefully that's what we're going to do in a couple of weeks' time. And if we don't, then will we sort of reassess the situation as much as if we did? I'm not so sure, but just a second. Hey, Shaun, 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Oh, go on. What
sorry, I just wanted to reiterate on that one. I wasn't saying it wasn't about the value of the cup. It was more a case of the money of the club. Because obviously clubs aren't daft. They are. I think if you win the Europa Conference League, I think you're in total TV revenue and the price for winning it, which is not like you'll get about 30 million. 30 million euros.
I'm not getting that money. I don't care.
No, but clubs do. You know what I mean? Especially someone like Brighton. But you'll get about 30 million euros, and the jump to the Champions League, like Spurs got knocked out in the last 16, they got about 65 million euros. So the jump's big, and the likes of Brighton, the owner will. I think the Europa League's obviously is a bit more in the conference, so yeah, they'll be eyeing up like 35 million for. It's not. It does help certain clubs if it suits them at the right time. There's no doubt about that.
For sure. Trini says Arsenal had a solid first team. Once they started to get injuries, their form dropped off dramatically, and they showed how much, and they showed they didn't have any bottle there. What would be your player of the year? I think I'd give it to who was given it, Declan Rice, in the end. I think he's been again solid this season. I don't think he's been as good as he was last season, but he's still been our best player for me. And he's rightly received the Hammer of the Year award for the third time. And he's only been here 6 years. But that is that. Thanks for the Leeds win today. Oh, don't worry, we'll beat you next week, Chris. So you won't be thanking us then. Congratulations on getting to a European final, guys. Don't fall at the final hurdle. Well, we won't, hopefully not. But right, let's move on to West Ham then. West Ham 3, Leeds 1. Now, when that ball was drilled into the back of the net in the first half, I wasn't too bothered, to be honest with you. I said fair play. Leeds moved on, and we managed to get back into the game quite nicely. And I was surprised how many players Moyes fielded. I was surprised how strong he went compared to last weekend against Brentford. Probably that was the wake-up call that if we played that side again, we might have been embarrassed like we were last weekend against Brentford. So he fielded a slightly more, sort of better 11, 6 changes opposed to, I think it was 9 last weekend. So yeah, obviously we were going to be better, and we were. And first 20-25 minutes our heads were still in Amsterdam. Then we sort of woke up a bit, and Rice got the goal, which it was written in the stars. It's going to be his last home game for West Ham, and that was a nice moment. And then Bowen gets the second, and then Lanzini another fitting moment as well, gets the third in his final home game for the club. So overall, it's an afternoon that, if I was to write a script, I probably wouldn't write it much better than that. Both of those players I'd like to see get on the score sheet, and they did. Bowen gets another one for the confidence as well. And yeah, it was a good afternoon on the whole. One thing that surprised me and baffled me was how Leeds just sort of gave up in the second half. There was just no let's change things and try and get something out of the game. They just, as soon as it went 2-1, they went, oh, well, that's the end of that. And Big Sam was more worried about finding £5 notes on the floor than changing things, and he ended up losing. So yeah, happy with it. Confidence building. Moving on to Leicester next weekend, another irrelevant game that hopefully we'll win. And that is that. Shaun?
Yeah, it was very much a typical West Ham game, I would say, from the second part of the season. Probably wasn't the most entertaining. I think on the field, I think the players probably shocked how poor Leeds were. I would have thought, because the typical West Ham game lately has been, you don't know how possession's going to go. I think even at home you've had really low possession, but the difference is here. I've said it a few weeks ago. A big problem that Leeds have had this year. They've had a lot of different managers come in, all trying these different sort of tactics. So you're left with a bit of a mishmash. And Big Sam's come in. And from what I can see is he's gone back to 1990s, he's getting the goalkeeper kicking it long. He's got Weston McKennie. I haven't seen him take a big long throw until Big Sam come in. Next thing, he's launching these throws into the box. And so second half especially, I thought, what are these tactics? There just didn't seem to be any. They're sending men forward. I think you probably should have had another 1 or 2 goals, really.
No,
I know, I think when Paqueta farting around with the ball, trying to square it and all that. But it was just, they were chucking loads of men forward with no plan. It was like, I think the camera even went to Big Sam when they had a camera and he was getting angry at, I'm guessing, look, get in the box. And I think I've been saying for years that Leeds final ball is rubbish. Do you know what I mean? You can put 20 blokes in the box. If the corner's not very good, then. So looking at Big Sam, I just didn't see the tactics there. I don't. The squad's probably all wrong. Weston McKennie's already been announced that Leeds aren't going to follow through and buy him. So you would think he'd probably start getting left out for ones that they might have already signed properly. But no, he's clearly just had a launcher throwing in. You know what I mean?
I think from Leeds' perspective, any sort of go they had in them went when Bamford went off, and I spoke to a Leeds fan last night just to get a bit of insight to the madness that they have out there, and he did pretty much echo what you said for the most of the season, that you've got different managers wanting to play different ways with the same team, that just doesn't work. And
the Bamford thing, though, I don't know if your guest mentioned him. A lot of the fan base have turned on him, big style Bamford, and it's possibly a bit harsh because he's even had to delete his Twitter, and I've seen fans even messaging his wife on Twitter, things like that. But Bamford was a poor finisher in the Championship. He had that good season when they first got up, and they finished 10th or 9th in the first season. All he's done is revert back to that average Championship player. Do you know what I mean? If a club's going to hang on to players for long enough, I've got in my club. We booed Davinson Sanchez off the other week. He should have gone a couple of seasons ago, but players get comfortable at teams, and it is kind of the players' fault, because maybe Big Sam maybe doesn't trust his Rodrigo. I know he started them both. Even Rodrigo was limping around, so they got Tottenham last day. Like I said, Tottenham fans don't want to win, and they think we're going to go and roll over. But even so, Leeds have got to. If Everton draw, they've got to beat us by 2 or more. Do you know what I mean? If you scored that goal at the end, where Paqueta should have just slotted it at the bottom corner, they'd have had to stuff Tottenham on the last day and Everton draw. Do you know what I mean? That would have really made it tough for them. But so they've got a little minor lifeline, and with Everton, you just don't know they're home to Bournemouth. Everton, you just don't know what they're going to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think they'll beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth are completely on the beach, and I don't think they're going to do anything special on the final day. And if Everton need to get something, they'll get something. And just a final word that I did want to say is that, I'm quite looking forward to being sat in the sun, stood in the sun at the King Power next Sunday, monitoring as Leeds, slot a few past you, Shaun. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. You'll be happy, I'll be happy, and it's all going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll still have another season finishing above you, believe it or not. So when I think we've been terrible, and I think the lowest, I think we can actually go to 9th.
Can you?
There can be a swing.
Christ, you're going into Chelsea territory there.
Yeah, if they finish 9th, I think that's the lowest league position in 17 years. So Tottenham have been quite consistent. Do you know what I mean? I think it's one season out of the top 8 in the last 16 years, I think it is, and that was the year that. Well, probably back when you were born, when Harry Redknapp come into the job, and it's sort of in the bottom half. I think they were like floating around where you are in the league now, and Redknapp come in and sort of kept them up and secure a bit. But yeah, I'd take 8th now. Oh, trust me.
To finish off, though, just a word on Chelsea is that if they lose both their games and we beat Leicester, there's a chance goal difference wise that we could finish above Chelsea. So
They got a
Chelsea,
game midweek, have they, Chelsea?
yeah, United and then Newcastle on the final day. So you got 2 tough games. So basically, let's hope they get pounded by both of them. We beat Leicester and then we'll finish above Chelsea. That's the plan.
Can Leicester be relegated tomorrow night? They can't they?
I'm not quite sure. Well, they're on 30 with minus 18. So then if they did lose, they got to go up to 33. I'm no good at maths. I don't know.
Yeah, but if they only got 2 games left, Leicester.
Leicester have got 2 games left, yeah.
So if they lose tomorrow, the maximum they can get is 3 more points. Will that,
3 more points, yeah.
Will that put them on 33?
33, yeah. So that's hoping that Everton lose to Bournemouth then.
The key thing here is that result you got today against Leeds. That don't have to give Shaun Dyche an incentive for his players. Do you know what I mean? It's in their hand on the last day. They've just got to go for it. Do you know what I mean? If they win, they're up. It's as simple, black and white as that. And that's But Leeds got lucky on that last day last season as well. Don't forget. I think was it Burnley messed up in the last day. Something happened. I thought they
were at Brentford and they got a point to stay up or something, didn't they? Leeds
that was it. I think on about the hour mark, Leeds looked down and the turn of events. So they got lucky then. They sold their 2 best players. Do you know what I mean? They haven't recruited well, so I think they probably deserve to go down. The people in charge on the board have gone. So
yeah.
So yeah, they're where they are. Something like that.
There we go. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for watching. Brighton are in Europe. Well done to them as well. They beat Southampton and yeah, it's a whistle stop tour this week. So I got a chemistry exam tomorrow. Shaun, have you got any advice for a chemistry exam tomorrow?
What sort of exam is it?
Just chemistry. I don't know.
Is it like a SATs or something like that? Is it or
GCSEs?
Is it? You're on the big one, are you? I didn't know you were that old.
SATs, that's year 6. That means I'd be flipping 11, Shaun.
So you're not even 16 yet then? You're still 15, coming up to 16?
Yeah.
So you'll be getting the beers and then quick then soon.
Oh, right. That's what you're thinking about, is it? Yeah.
Chemistry. Oh, no. Watch Breaking Bad, the series.
All right. Okay. Shaun, thank you very much. We will see you very, very soon, mate. And, well, there's one more of these to go. If you lose next week, I'll be happy and you'll be happy. Well, it's going to be brilliant next week. Shaun, any last word?
Last word, right. I think Leeds a go, Leicester a go. I think it's all sorted now, more or less. I think Tottenham will get a point at the very most at Leeds, and that'll be all tied up. And then you've got to go and play. Am I right in saying this? England's 15th team versus Italy's 13th team in the Europa Cup. It's something like that, isn't it? Like
Shaun, a trophy's a trophy, mate, and we're going to see Declan Rice bow out of his West Ham career.
Yeah, it is. It is. Are they televising it or not?
Yeah, of course they're televising. You were watching it the other night on BT, weren't you? So it's going to be on BT.
I did.
You were glued to your screen, mate.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
Right, 2 pieces of advice. Know your periodic table and H2O equals water. Thank you very much, guys. I will make sure I pass tomorrow. Shaun, I will see you next week. From me, come on you irons. We'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much, Shaun.
Bye-bye.